we're going to do a front disc brake and brake pad replacement all in one. Here's the things you're going to need. You're always going to need your disc brake, your pads. This will allow you to separate the caliper so you can fit in the new pads in place. I'll get into this, but if your pins are stuck, we can use some cotton pins to clean the inside as well as some paper towel. And we're going to need just two sizes. We're going to need 17mm and 12 socket and wrench. Your screwdriver, take off the disc brake, and you may need to use an impact screwdriver with its accompanying hammer and a breaker bar to get loose the caliper mount. We also will need preferably a silicone based grease. This will allow these higher temperatures, especially for ceramic pads which we're installing, and then a brake cleaner. So we'll get started. Car is jacked up, wheel is removed, and we're going to begin disassembly here. To remove the caliper, we're going to have two of these, two bolts. So here and here, and just loosen those up. There we go. Then we're gonna loosen up the brake hose mount. So showing you right here this one, so we can move the caliper out of the way. What this allows you now is the hose is free to move. Will allow you to grab the caliper, and as you notice here, I'll show you how we squeeze that together when we're ready for that step. Okay, so we're gonna leave this here. We're gonna mount it on this side. You don't want to put any stress on the hose, and you don't want to let this fall down either. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the disc pads. As you can see, the one on this side, it was worn to the point of replacement. So yes, it was worn to the point where we needed to replace it. And if you notice, there's uneven wear. The one on the inside is more worn than the one on the outside. That's usually an indication that one of these pins here is faulty. So what you should do to check them is squeeze, and it should spring out just like so. And same here. And there is a little bit harder to move, but I would say that's still acceptable. So our secondary source could be the piston caliper is not sliding in and out properly. So now we're going to remove the mount, and we'll do that by the removal of these two. This is where it's very nice to have the breaker bar. You'll need that leverage to be able to pull that apart. Go smooth as butter. There we go. Perfect. Now the mounting bracket comes off like so, and it's time to remove the disc pad here. So there's these two screws we got to screw out. Sometimes they can come loose easily with a screwdriver. If they don't, that's where you're going to require a impact screwdriver. You have to make sure it's torqued in the right direction, so as you press in, it wants to screw out. So as this goes in, you see how that turns to a counterclockwise direction. So it'll screw it out when I hammer it. So we simply put it in place. Let me show you from the side what that'll look like. I'm going to put some tension on there and then just give it a quick tap. So we're going to have to use some WD-40 and loosen this up a little bit. I want to make sure you don't get that inside the bearings. There we go. There we go, we got that one loose. So at the end of your hammer, you can tap like so till it comes loose. There we go. Not an easy one today, that's alright. The new disc usually comes with a lot of chemicals to prevent it from oxidizing. So we do have to remove those chemicals so they don't get on our new pads. So we'll just do this like so. And then we'll do the same to the back side. We want our holes to match. I'm not going to do more than hand tighten these, as with corrosion that will get tighter in the future. So we're going to leave it there. I'm going to show you how to make space for the new brake pads. So you bring the caliper over. As you've noticed, the space is significantly reduced. If you have a tool like this, mine doesn't work properly because it's not long enough. If I open it up all the way, it's not going to press out. I just put in the old pad that I was using there, like so. Fit that in like so. And now you will notice the caliper press in. Doesn't take a lot of effort. Something you do want to watch out for as you're pressing this in, you're pressing fluid up the line. It needs to be observed over at the brake fluid reservoir. Make sure you don't overflow in this area. When you're gonna replace new pads, so we gotta inspect these pins, maybe even clean the grease and replace it. So we'll just pull the pin. You notice that it looks black, so it has gone through some oxidation, degradation. Just keep a note that they are different, the pins, and you have to keep track which is which. So this one has a black top, and if you were to mount this back on, it's always the one on the top on the Honda Accord. So you'll know that that one ends up being the top one, and this one over here is the bottom one. I also want to clean the grease inside, so I'll just fold up paper towel. We'll go in there and fish out any old grease we have in there. Now, the type of grease you want to apply, they have all kinds of brake grease. Honda recommends a silicone base. As a matter of fact, you can get the OEM one at the store. I just chose to get this one at the local auto parts store, but this is pure silicone. So we're going to apply this. You don't want too little or too much. Too much will clog the space. Too little will probably seize up again. So we'll put that in. Boots go in. Second thing you want to clean in your mounts that is just as important are the slider pins. You have two on each side. This is where your brake pad will make contact. And what I'll do is just put them on there, saturate them with brake cleaner, and rub them clean like so. And you only really care about the contact areas for the pad. You don't have to clean the whole thing. If you want to, you can. But it'll probably become dirty within a month anyways. The reason we want these clean is we're going to apply a small amount of grease to the contact areas. That helps reduce vibration, reduce friction, so you're less likely to improperly wear your brakes. So before we put these back, make sure they're dry. Put a small dab of grease. You want to make sure that this grease doesn't make it on the inside areas. If it does, then you're more likely to put grease on the disc, and you don't want that. So a little goes a long way here. Then we put on the brake pads in place, slid the caliper over, tightened the bolts over 25 foot-pounds, and then we tighten the bracket at 16 foot-pounds, and that's how you complete the change.